welcome back. I apologize for looking kind of rugged, I guess you'd say. Allergies are getting the best of me. All right, so this is part, I lost track, 5 maybe? Part 5. We're nearing the end. I'm back using Office 2013 again. Again, just to show that what I'm doing is cross version. So we left off with our formulas down here at the bottom, I believe. So let's take a look at, I'm just going to take a little bit of time just because I'm not under any real time constraint with this. And I want to show you just a little bit of formatting options. For example, if we wanted this header up here to stand out a little bit, we can use the fill option up here on the font toolbar, and we can select a fill color for that. We could also select a fill color for the rest of our sheet. Normally you want to, the header to be a little bit darker or even a different color. We can go with a nice green for this. And then another option that you might want to consider is your borders. And we'll just throw in all borders in here so that it just kind of breaks up the numbers. You know what I mean? If you wanted, you could remove the inner borders from these cells just to kind of separate the income from the expenses. The way you do that, a couple ways to do that. You could use the drop down for borders and then select more borders, or you could use the dialog launcher in the font group or the alignment group or the number group, any of them really. And then go to the borders tab. And then we just want to remove these inside borders, not the outside borders, just the inside borders. So you click to deselect those inside borders. Click the OK button, and there you have that little blank separation between the two. Again, totally up to you. Another way that you can do this, let me undo my changes here. Another way you can do this is you can turn your worksheet or your data range into a table. Tables have many pre-formatted options. The way you turn your data range into a table is you make sure your active cell is somewhere inside your data range. And then you come up here to the styles group and you click on Format as Table. And here you can see all the different format options they have for your tables. We'll just go with maybe this blue one here. And you'll see that it's saying, okay, you only want this part of your data range to be included in this table. But I want the whole thing to be included in the table. So I'm just going to, since it has that marching marquee around there, remember that when it has that marching marquee, then you're in control. So if I want the entire worksheet to be formatted or the entire data range to be formatted as a table, and I just come up here to my first cell, which is this great big cell that goes all the way across the top, and I'm going to click and drag down to the bottom of my data range. And then I'll select my table has headers, which it does, and it's going to consider this as the header. So it'll give that a little bit different color. And then it's also going to give you the option to sort by different options. These are what are called filters. And we'll get into filters in the intermediate class. So there's your table. Nice, it gives every other row a color. If you wanted to select only one option here, then you click on Select All to deselect all, and maybe you just want to see your entertainment options. There you can see your entertainment options. Turn this back so that you can see all. You select all, and there you have everything back. That's how you turn it into a table. So now let's take a few minutes and let's look at sorting information, because there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. Back in the day, before Excel got fancy, and one of the ways I was taught, or I guess you could say one of the ways I learned to do sorting, is you put your active cell in whatever column you wanted to sort by. And then you just go to the Data tab and you click the Sort, either ascending or descending. That's your ascending and descending. And then you click that button. So watch what happens when I do this. Looky there. Wow, boy, did that screw up my table. Luckily, we have undo, Control Z. And there you can see, because this is formatted as a table, when I said sort by this column, Excel reached out to the entire table. You can see how it's selected here. And it sorted everything. So even if I didn't have this formatted as a table, and I selected salary, and I said sort by that column, ascending, descending, you'll see that it still reached out and grabbed too much and sorted. You see it moved my headings down here at the bottom, which isn't what I wanted. So let me undo that. So that theory of just selecting the cell that in the column that you want to sort by doesn't always work, and I don't recommend anybody uses that method of sorting anymore. You should always select the data that you want to sort. One of the reasons I say that is if you sort only this column, then there's a chance that the numbers that correspond to the rows in that column won't be sorted at the same time, and you'll skew your data. So if you want to sort by column B, then you want all of these numbers, all of these values to go along with it. So you select everything that you want to sort. And what Excel is going to do is it's going to sort by whichever cell is your active cell. And your active cell in a selected range is the non-shaded cell. So right now, salary, or column B, is my active cell. It's the non-shaded cell. So when I tell it to sort ascending, it's going to sort that column alphabetically. And I can tell this because when I hover over the button, you'll see it says sort A to Z. So I click that button, and there you can see it resorts alphabetically based on column B, and it takes all of the corresponding numbers or values in the following rows or columns right along with the headings. So what if I wanted you to sort not alphabetically, but numerically by column D? Well, you can't take this and select around in a circle. That just doesn't work. And if I make this my active cell, well, then it's going to sort by column B. Well, I can go this way. Well, then it's going to sort by column F. So this is where some of those things I showed you earlier, like how to maneuver around the worksheet, come in handy. You can't use your arrow keys because as soon as you use your arrow keys, it deselects everything. So I'll reselect this information. So the way you move around through a selected range of cells is with your tab key. Tab right, shift tab left. Enter down, shift enter up. So if you need to sort this by, let's say, in ascending order based on the September income, then you tab over to column C so that C4 is your active cell, the non-shaded cell. Now when you hover over the sort ascending, it doesn't say A to Z anymore. It says sort smallest to largest because it sees a numeric value in there. So you click this button, it resorts everything, keeping the headings right along with the numbers that they belong to. So that's the proper way to sort in Excel. So if I wanted to sort some of my expenses, and I'll show you again, you just come down here and you select all the information you want to sort. And maybe I wanted to sort by the month of November. I simply tab over to column E, and I want this largest to smallest, so descending order. So I use the descending button, or sort largest to smallest. Click that button, and it rearranges everything to match what I need it to do. So it's pretty easy when you do it the correct way. But if you do it the incorrect way, then there's a real good chance that you're going to skew your data, or you're going to mess your information up to the point to where it's unrecognizable. So let me turn this back into a table, just because I like the way it looks. I'm going to make sure my active cell is somewhere in my data range. I'm going to click the Format as Table button. I'm going to select a style. I'll go with a green this time. And I'm just going to select my entire data range. And I'm not going to worry about having headers this time. That way it won't put anything extra on there. Okay. So we can get rid of these filters on this top row. If you don't want the filters on there, you go to the Data tab, and you'll see the filter button right here is highlighted. If you just click that button to turn it off, now you don't have the filter buttons anymore. So what we're going to look at now are charts and graphs. Charts and graphs in Excel are very, very easy to create. But again, you have to remember the first step. And the first step in creating a chart or graph in Excel is the same first step as it is in sorting. You select the data that you want to create a chart based on. You wouldn't want to create a chart based on income and expenses that included all your totals, because you have two different data bits of information, income and expensive. You don't want to compare apples and oranges. And it's also, at least based on my experience, usually not a good idea to include totals in with the raw numbers, because it's going to make everything seem well, out of whack, I guess is a good way to say it. It's going to make some of your smaller base numbers that were used to create the totals look very insignificant compared to the totals that go into those numbers. So for this, if I was to create a chart or charts for this entire table, I would have a chart for my income, and then I may have a chart for my income totals. Then I would have a chart for my expenses, and then maybe a chart for my monthly expenses, or maybe my total expenses by category. The totals is completely up to you. And then I could also create a chart for my net income. I could create a chart for my percent paid out, and I could also create a chart for my savings. So we're looking at the possibility of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different charts just based on this table. It all depends on how you want to display your information, or what information you want to display. So let's start with the fairly easy stuff. I want to create a chart or a graph. This is actually when you go to graph for my income, for my 3 months of income, my 3 categories of income. So I select that information. Again, not the totals, because the totals are going to skew your numbers, make everything else look insignificant. So with that data selected, I'm going to go to the Insert tab up on the ribbon. And one of the nice things about Office 2013 and higher is it gives you a recommended charts button. You could just come over here and click one of these different chart types and give it a go and see how it works out. But it's best to use the recommended charts because there are some charts that just won't work for certain information. For example, with this multi-series information selected, wouldn't be a good candidate for a pie chart. Okay, so we'll go with recommended charts, and we'll just use this simple clustered column charts, nothing fancy. With that option selected, you click on OK, and boom, just like that, there's your chart. It's an individual object, so you can move it around. You can resize it if you need to. Just grab one of these. I recommend using the corner sizing handles. That way you can resize the height and width at the same time. And there's a lot of other things you can do with the charts. Over here on the right side, we have the Chart Elements button where you can either select or deselect certain aspects. Maybe I don't want a chart title, I can turn that off. Maybe I don't want it to display my axis numbers, I can turn that off. So there's all kinds of different options. If you want to learn more about charts, I have another online session called Advanced Excel Charts and Graphs. And we get a little deeper into manipulating the information or the display data on the charts. I'll show you a little bit here more in that. Not only does it show you how to do or how to create different types of custom charts, but it gets a little more into the settings and such. So I'll bring back my chart title and I'll close my chart elements. To give your chart a title, you simply select what's there, and I'll call this first, boy, I can't spell again, first quarter budget. That's how you add your chart title. Here you'll see the dollar values. This is salary, this is investment, this is odd jobs. What do the individual bars stand for? Well, if you look down here, you'll see it says Series 1, Series 2, and Series 3. Now there's a way to get around this. I did it this way specifically so I could show you how to add axis information. So all you have to do to update this information is you select the chart, make sure the chart is selected. Then you come up here and you click on Select Data. And this is the information that we need to modify over here. We need to get, some information in there. And that information we're going to add is going to be our months, September, October, November. So with that, to modify these, you need to have them over here on the right side. So we're going to click this Switch Row and Column button. Then we're going to click the Edit button. And then you simply click and drag to select the range of cells that's going to encompass this information. And here you'll see September, October, November. And the reason it switched is because we told it to switch. And actually what it did is it switched row and column, and I'll show you that here in just a sec. We're going to click OK. Right there, see, switch row and column. So right now we have September, October, and November as the groups of charts, and then salary, investment, and odd jobs as the individual bars. If I click this switch row and column to put it back the way it was when I started, now I have my September, October, November down here, and then the categories in the groups. And then you click OK. And there you have it. Right? Really easy. Now, I'm not a big fan of putting my charts on the same worksheet as the data that is used to create the charts. And that's particularly when it comes to creating multiple charts. I don't want to clutter up this worksheet with a bunch of charts. This is my data entry. So again, with the chart selected, all the way over here on the right side of the ribbon, you'll see the Move Chart button. You click that Move Chart button, and we're going to move it to a new worksheet. So you click on New Sheet, and we'll call that sheet First Quarter Budget. And look, I even spelled it right the first time. Woo! And then you click OK. And now you see we have a new worksheet titled First Quarter Budget, separate from our data entry, which is on sheet 1. If we wanted to create another chart, maybe based on our expenses, then again, we select the data that we want to include in the chart, not the titles. And this is where it comes in handy. When we created the first chart, we could have selected all of this, and then it would have included the chart titles. And I'll just show you real quick. Insert, recommended chart. And you can see right there, just in the preview, September, October, November, salary, investments, and odd jobs. So it would have created everything that we needed right there the first time around. But to do it when the data is separate from your column headings, it's easier just to go ahead and select this base information, insert your chart, and I'll do a bar chart this time. Let me see, we have just a basic bar chart. There we go. And then we'll click OK. So there's my bar chart for expenses. I'll change the title. Just click in there and select what it has, and we're going to put first quarter. We'll make this expenses. Okay, first quarter expenses. So again, we have all of our categories here, but we have series 1, 2, and 3 down here. So that's the part we need to fix. So we're going to come up here to select data. We need to move these over to the right side. So we switch row and column. You can see it switches over here. And we're going to edit that information. And we're just going to click and drag to select September, October, and November. And you'll see it adds our months over here. But one of the weird things, let me go ahead and OK this out, is it puts them in reverse order. September, October, November, but this has November, October, and September. Not sure why it comes out this way. It's been this way for as long as I can remember. So what we need to do is we need to change the order of our axis. So what you do is you come over and you select the axis, and then you right-click on the axis. And we're going to go to Format Axis. Okay, let me show you that again. Select the axis, right-click the axis, and then go to Format Axis. And then right here, under Axis Position, you'll see a checkbox. It says Categories in Reverse Order. Click that checkbox, and you'll see it switches and places our categories in reverse order, which is the correct order, but you can't tell Excel that, all right? So then we can take that and we can move it to another sheet. New sheet, we'll call this First Quarter Expenses. And now we have a new worksheet titled First Quarter Expenses. With that, I'm going to go ahead and call this section done because we're coming up on 30 minutes. I don't want to go beyond that. And when we come back for the last section, we'll look at formatting, a little more formatting of the charts themselves. And we'll rename our worksheets, and then we'll be done. So stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.